Okay, this is my little lair. This is my music studio, but let's do the American Hat Makers or Head and Home Hat Collection first. I met these people at what's called the Festival of Little Hills in St. Charles about 13 years ago, and they made these wonderful hats, and I developed an accidental business relationship with them because I sent them. I'm getting one of their business cards. I sent them they make Slash's hats from Guns N' Roses, and they make Steve Tyler's hats from Aerosmith. And it's like 5 people. It's one. They're made by hand, and one person is with the same hat, and they're leather, and they are not cheap hats. They range from $169 to $500 or $600, and I have the upper range. I have 10 of them, like this one on my head. It's one of my favorites. This is called Pale Rider. But we're in my music room. I'll get there in a minute. But anyway, you'll see hats along the wall, and I was explaining to you what they are. But anyway, Gary is the guy that owns the company, and one person stays with the same hat. They cut out the leather, they sew, they press, they make the entire hat by hand. And like I said, I have 10 of them. But I know Rania, the sister of the guy that owns it, she does their road shows, their art shows and stuff like that. And I emailed her a picture of one that I created in a program called Blender. You take a simple gray square or a pixel, and you can, or anything, and you can make whatever you want, a car, a ring, a bookcase, whatever, and you can add real materials to it and make it look like the thing exists in the real world. I made this hat that had leather embossing on it, and I said, you don't have any embossed leather hats. I said, can you make me one? Custom make me this hat because you don't have any in your collection. And she never returned. My my email or my message on Facebook. And I thought, well, maybe she lost interest. She doesn't care. You can't do that. 3 months later, I go to the Festival of Little Hills, and there she is with this hat. Which one? Oh, well, that hat is in their collection. Notice the leather embossing. And this hat especially was in their collection. I walked over to Rania, and Mark was like, Michael, don't you dare. And I was going, Rania, I was thumbing this hat right behind me, and Rania's my height, or maybe a few inches shorter. And I said, Rania, I was staring right at her with this hat behind me. I said, do you remember when I emailed you this hat that I designed in this program, and I asked if you could custom make me this hat, and you didn't get back to me? And she bowed her head like a scolded child, and she instantly grabbed that hat and she put it on my head, free of charge, a $500 hat. And then she grabbed another $500 hat and put on Mark's head. And in 48 hours, on my doorstep was a box that was FedExed in 48 hours with $2,000 worth of more free hats. And we hugged it out, and we have since had a better business relationship. So I designed a few of their hats, and I am on their business cards. That's me wearing Time For It, one of my favorite hats. And here's the back of their card. I also have that hat right there. That's that's Rio Topper. That was actually the first hat that I got from them. Rio Topper. I gotta rub leather stuff on top of him. He's starting to change colors. This hat's 13 years old. That was the first one. This one is This one is Rivet. I also wanted Absinthe. Over there is a steampunk one. Up there on top, right there is, they also have a Western line. That is Storm. They all have names. There's the one I designed. There's that little almost looking Civil War one right there is also a Head and Home. Up there is Kraken with laser work in it. And there's also an eyeball and Kraken, look like a octopus. And there's even a red light that flashes if you want him to by battery operated. and of course the one I designed, and they have several more leather embossings. But anyway, I think there's a couple upstairs too. But anyway, that's how I become known. Oh, when the one on my head is, I'm called Pale Rider, but yeah, that's how I become known with Heading Home. But anyway, back to my room. There's a rule in this house that I can have as many keyboards and bring as many keyboards as I want into this house, besides the 2 acoustic pianos and the reed organ, which may reside outside this room, but they must fit in this room. If something comes in and it cannot fit, something must be sold. And a lot of collectors wheel and deal. They'll sell anything when they see their new best friend, when they notice a keyboard at an estate sale, at a music store that they want. They'll sell anything to get it, and I know I play for keeps. I do sell occasionally if I buy something that I just can't resist and I end up not playing it. I might sell something like this Hammond. I have 3 Hammonds and 3 Leslies. I'll tell you the story of this sweet A100 here in a minute, which is basically tonally the same as this Hammond C3 with Phil's memorial pamphlet on her. This was the exact same organ. I'm talking about Michael Niffen delivered this one to my home on January the 1st, 2019. This organ is the exact same one that came from the church in Hannibal. Okay, this was the one that Phil played. And Dorcas and Sister Albert and everybody. He's called me and said other parishioners wanted this organ if we stopped playing it. And to them, this would have been just another organ that they would have tired of. And they would have sold it when they got tired of it. To you, this organ had soul. And he said, I watched you for 2 years. For 2 years on YouTube and Facebook, and you didn't know it. And you deserve this organ more than anybody. Because this organ had a soul. And I noticed that you worshiped the ground Phil walked on. He said, I will deliver. I paid $2,300 for a $12,000 organ. And he delivered it from Hannibal to, we live in Collinsville, right outside. I can see the arch from our parking pad. He delivered it free of charge. I paid him $2,300 for a $12,000 organ. But anyway, that's a whole, Mark, if the world was on fire and my music room was the only safe place, his ass would have been cinders a long time ago. But when I was never allowed to touch this instrument when it was in the Hannibal church, so I didn't know Michael Niffen ever knew I ever played. But he'd been watching me secretly. And when I sit on this bench right here for the first time, when we start these things, there's a start, run. You have to hold this switch up for about 5 or 6 seconds, depending on how good the generator is. There's a mechanical generator in here that has wheels that turn. And then when this one picks up speed, you have to hold this one for 4 seconds. And then this one stays up while you're running the organ, and then you turn it off. See, start, run. I have one here. I have one over there. So I had 2 Hammonds. I sit on this bench and my hands were shaking when I did the start run here. Mark said, come on, honey, you have to be able to do this. I want to see this. There was a ghost sitting right here. His name was Phil. He was sitting right next to me. He said, come on, baby, you got to do this for us. My hand was shaking as I hit start run. I mean, I was shaking so bad I couldn't hardly do it. And then I grabbed a cord up here. I flipped this Leslie switch right here from slow to fast. And I did a full palm gliss all the way up this lower manual. And this Leslie right here, same as kind of like that over there, was a rare 22R come to a full throttle roar. And I told Mark, I said, that's the sound I had been looking for. I played 10,000 Leslie Hammonds in my life. You hear them on the radio every single day. It was this Leslie they're all handmade. Even Hammonds. One Hammond sounds very different from the other because they're wound, the pickups are wound like guitars. They all, even though this serial number could be 501 and serial number 502 can sound very different. That's why I had people say, why do you have 3? Number 1, because I can. Plain and simple. Number 2, because they do sound very different from one another. This one right here sounds very sweet and warm. This old girl has big balls and can scream. But it was this Leslie that's a rare, it says 22R on her tag instead of a 122. That means there's something, and she was upgraded. So it was this Leslie that I have been looking for 41 years since I left that church. And I said, my God, that's the sound that I've been looking for out of all the Leslies, because it was a unique combination that had been upgraded. And no other Leslie sounds like that. I'm like, damn, that's the sound I've been looking for forever. For 6 months, I never touched that Hammond or this Hammond. And let me tell you the story about this one. I bought this from Lacefield Music. The Cardinals organist. So he was 19. Dwayne Hilton sold me this at his aunt's music shop, Lacefield Music. And then 3 years later, Mark bought me this Leslie at Midwest Music. And when the tech came to our house when we lived in St. Louis proper to marry the two, there was $1,100. The Leslie alone is $2,195. $2,195. You can get them for like $1,800, but this was $2,195 that he paid off. But just to marry the two in parts and labor, there's a kit, labor, and parts was another $1,100. I was prepared to write a check. I had the checkbook out after the man came to our house, and there's a cable, there's a switching kit, there are switches, $1,100. And when he got finished hooking the two together, he said, Michael, play it and see how you like it. The sound's very different from her internal speakers. This one, an A100 is the same as a C3, but down here you don't see anything. And down here she has internal speakers and an internal amp. So she can be played without the Leslie or played both at the same time. I flipped the switch. I played an old gospel song that you might know, an old Bill Gaither song called There's Something About That Name. I turned and looked at the guy for approval, and this man was sitting on the inside steps of our house going up to our second floor, and this man had tears rolling down his cheeks. And I said, oh no, did I do something wrong? He said, in 47 years of me working on these things, I had never heard, there's a mechanical generator that runs the full length of these things. Each one of these keys, each one of these drawbars or stops, whatever you want to call them, are connected to wheels that actually turn, that are very close to pickups, like guitar pickups, except Hammond had pickups before guitars did. And then those difference in those cogs is what makes the tone. He said, this tone wheel generator is the cleanest I have ever heard in any Hammond in my 47 years of working on these things and in a 1,000-mile radius of St. Louis. He said, if you ever want to sell this Hammond, contact me first. And then, as he was getting ready to leave, I said, how much do I owe you? I know it was like $1,100. I'm prepared to write you this check. He said, just cut me a check for $100. It was such an honor to hear this beautiful instrument. He said, I'll cover the rest. So, when I invited this beautiful girl into my house, she had big boots to fill. And you know what? I never played this organ again, or that one, for 6 months after this one walked back into my life. And Mark finally said, Michael, you got to play those two organs. They're getting jealous. But anyway, let me continue on with this room. But this organ, this E100, oh, by the way, wait a minute, this was my first 88 digital. This is Casio. Casio's come up. If you want to, this was like $5.99. And I played this one until the keys, look, the keys start getting clacky. This is where I first started reading music, when I got a serious keyboard. This is a Casio Previa, and you know what? She does well. If you ever want to buy a reasonable keyboard, go for Casio Previa, that brand. But this right here, this gal, I bought this Hammond and that Leslie at an estate sale. I walked down, and I thought the price tag in this basement, I thought the price tag said $550 for a $2,000 Leslie and a $1,000 Hammond, because this is not a real sought after model, but she got two full keyboards, full drawbars, and she's a tone wheel generated organ. And I thought, you know what, and a tube amplifier. I'm like, you know what? I ran up to the people that was running the sale. I said, here's $200. I said, hold this thing for me. I'll be right back. I had to go to the ATM to get the additional $150, or the additional $350. To make $550. And the woman that was running it said, baby, I know you'll come back. We know who you are. Calm down. Then she said, go get the money and we'll hold it for you. I come back and paid her the rest of the $550. And she said, honey, you overpaid me way too much for that old organ and that old speaker. I said, how much was that organ and that old speaker? She handed me $200 back and said it was $350. I paid $350 for $4,000 worth of organ. Needless to say, but I don't play this gal much. I mean, that's why there's tools on the bench. So I'm selling. This one's up for sale. I'm selling this organ. I'm actually giving this organ away for free because not many people want this model. But I'm selling this Leslie right here because the case is in pretty bad shape. But she sounds good. I'm selling this organ and this Leslie for $1,800. But I usually don't sell my stuff, but she just doesn't get played. But this beautiful Leslie right here came with that C3. I will be going out of here feet first. But moving on, this is the Farfisa Fast 2 that somebody thought it's a combo made in 1968 called Combo Organ. Think 96 Tears. It was done on that organ on this combo right here, an early transistor organ. Sounds real cheesy, but they were supposed to. This is a chord organ, a rare like a child's organ. But it was a 72 button instead of the 6 or 7. And then up there are actually selectable. See those buttons? You can change the voice into like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 voices. And there's even a volume pedal on it, which is kind of rare. I got that from an estate sale from the guy who helped Stan Can get the theater organ in the Fox Theater up and going. How about this at his estate sale? I paid $25 for a rare reed organ. Not a bad deal. This is a 1944 one manual reed organ that I had restored. That's actually chaplains carried this from tent to have church services in World War II. I paid $50 for it at an antique mall and had it restored. It looks much older, but it was a 1944 reed organ that was. You can fold it up. It folds up into its own case. This is its own case right here, and there's 2 little pedals that you have to pedal for your life to keep wind in it. But she's a one manual reader. I'll play Christmas music on this one. And then over here, oh my Lord, see that one up there? That's a Korg MS-20. It's a modeler. So whatever you change the buttons and the patch cords here to get, you can do like Sweet Dreams Are Made of This by Eurythmics and stuff like that. That's a true synthesizer. Everything you change here appears on that screen. Because it's all everything here, that has no real voice of its own. Neither does that keyboard and that one down there. But that right there is a dance synthesizer that I think I'm a bit too old to appreciate. But it's fun to play with now and then. And then there's another old regular chord organ right there. That's the way they usually look, instead of this fancy smashy model over here. But anyway, all of these keyboards run through that old computer. And there are thousands of voices and even digital Hammonds that play through that computer. This is basically a toy station for me. You get unique voices and stuff. Okay, let's go back around to get to the meat. I don't hardly ever visit this site anymore, but it's fun to play with. This is my 24 channel. Yeah, 24 channel mixer. Basically everything in the room that is not even the Hammonds don't go through these mixers, but everything else does. The Rhodes, man, this is get the story that my Triton Extreme 88 in 2004. I did not buy this at this price. In 2004, this was a $4,000 keyboard. But Mark and I have a gay couple that's just friends of ours. And one is a florist that buys flowers from him. And his husband, at 57 years old, he went upstairs to get him out of bed so he can go to the flower shop, and he found him dead. So, and he played. He has a Hammond A100 just like this one, and he had this Korg, and he asked me where he could sell his instruments, and he sold a couple of his keyboards through a place that's a couple miles from here called Swing City Music. It's a wonderful place. I do business with them all the time. But anyway, he took this keyboard to them to be sold, and they couldn't get it to come on past the flash screen. There's there are this is fully upgraded. I upgraded the memory. I upgraded a card in the bottom, and there's There's from the most common instruments. You can even choose like organ, all even real Hammond sounds, pipe organs, to even fake Hammond sounds, and they make them sound fake on purpose, like 80s digital Hammonds that were sounding cheesy. They even do Hammond sounds that are cheesy on purpose, and then real Hammond. And you could even change the Leslie speed on these with my foot pedal. Let me do, hold on, warm bars. You hear that Leslie's pick up and slow down. Just with my foot, you can change. There are thousands of voices on this thing. But anyway, my friend said, Michael, we can't get this thing to come on. If you want it, meet me at Midwest Music and I will give it to you. A $4,000 keyboard that probably didn't have 2 hours worth of playtime on it. So I went and picked it up, and he said, you know about keyboards, maybe you can get it to work. Over here, I ordered $30 worth of patch cables. You have to patch it to itself and stuff like that. And I ordered a special SD disc that was $15, $10 on the internet. I got all these cables together. I started putting them in the back. I couldn't get the card to go in the back, and I thought maybe there's a protected thing over the slot. And I went to remove it. I pulled an SD card that was still in the slot. I took the card out. I turned the thing on, and the damn thing come on. There was nothing wrong with this keyboard. It just had a card in the slot, and it couldn't come on. I got a $4,000 keyboard for absolutely free, and Mark said, Michael, we owe Gary, our friend, a big supper. We need to take him out and buy him a big supper for getting a $4,000 keyboard for free. Every now and then, a dog gets his day. And this keyboard right here, I bought for, see these drawbars? Just like the drawbars on the Hammond. This is a 17-pound portable for a $500 organ. So I take this to local gigs and stuff. And this can, hear this Hammond? I gotta turn this one down because I have this one married to, I can play any of these keyboard digitals, even that one back there. They're all linked. I can play the voices of one through another at the same time I'm playing. They're linked by MIDI cable, see? And then I can type. I can work the Leslie on this one. This button right here is the Leslie. I can speed it up, or I can slow it down. You can change like the drawbar settings, and then there's piano on here. There are synthesizers. There are vintage pianos like Rhodes, clavinet, Wurlitzers. Basically, this is a portable. This was meant to be a portable Hammond. Not cheap. Well, actually, I got this one with a portable, hard portable case with wheels that you can carry 2 different ways for $300 less than you could if you bought just the keyboard new. I got it on Reverb.com. It was a good deal. This right here, I saw a guy play at a local art show, and this is a special edition with the red and black keys instead of black and white. This right here is at Korg SV1, which means stage vintage. It has Rhodes piano, early electric, Wurlitzer piano. It has some bad Hammond organ sound. They shouldn't have done that. But it has, like, you can do jump because it has synthesizers. But this keyboard's only job is to emulate acoustic, early electric pianos, stage vintage pianos. But it does, see? That's a Rhodes piano. He plays piano in the dark. That's a Tyne piano, called Dynamite piano, addition to a Rhodes. And then here's my real Rhodes. This is a Rhodes 88 suitcase, which means it's self-contained. It can break apart in 2 pieces to go gigging with. The young lady that owned this and on the East Coast planned on gigging with it. This thing still has the original sales receipt, a bag of replacement tines, because these keys hit these tines like tuning forks, and a Wurlitzer keys hit vibrating reeds, and they vibrate near, just like a Hammond. They vibrate near pickups, like guitar pickups, and then the vibration is converted into sound in an amplifier. But if I sit down and I play this and I turn off all sounds, think Blue Eyes, Elton John, and many, many others. It's used in jazz, blues, rock, not much gospel, but jazz, blues, rock is very big with the Rhodes. hear that beautiful tone, that tone? I had to play one of these when I was in 8th grade in junior high, and I thought, that thing don't sound like a real piano. But guess what, Michael? I thought I was a young purist back then. And I grew up to learn to appreciate all keyboards, and I can do something with every single one of them. You use them for what they were, you use them for their best attributes, and you can make wonderful music. So I learned to be a this and that person instead of a this or that. Your life will be much more fulfilled. See, now if I turn on these, and so I haven't run through guitar pedals. This is a tremolo. Hear that wonderful Think I'm Not in Love by 10cc. Or we can go, hold on, watch this. Or think You Make Lovin' Fun by Fleetwood Mac. And so forth, but back there is actually a, you got toy pianos. Oh, and those toy pianos up there play many roles that were made for them. And that toy piano right there is like full size, but this toy piano I found is actually double the size of a toy piano, which is kind of rare. And I made a handmade guitar pickup that you can feel around on the back side of those as you're playing the keys, and that will make the best sounding bass guitar you've ever heard in your life. Kind of weird. But anyway, that's another one of my favorite hats that is not a Head & Home. But anyway, that's the lowdown on my music room. Anyway, I will record songs on a lot of these, and I will send it along, which is what I have. This is one thing that keeps me alive and keeps me from killing people that know they deserved it a long time ago. Anyway, all right, see ya.